bring it back onto this next map.
I do like Horizon Lunar Colony. I just like the theme of 3-word names that begin with Horizon. It's got Horizon Zero Dawn as well.
That's one.
You know what? I
can't think of another.
Yeah, I started this, but I cannot think
that I
of a
really
third
like,
example.
and that's it.
Yeah, but I like them both a lot.
Now, this is interesting because I was sort of wondering when we might see a stylistic, at least compositional change-up, and as I say that, Buteok and Haru decide to swap off those big tanks that they were hovering over just slightly early. In fact, even MCD not opting for the Moira just yet. It's going to be back to basic of what we already know. Persia onto the Sombra, but Chaos Theory with ambition on his third hero as the Soldier.
We are seeing Savior sticking with the Mercy, at least for now. I do like that on this point.
Save ambition.
Yeah, exactly. Save ambition. Persia able to kind of slip by the outer layer of that defense. Means ambition may find himself a little surrounded if they're not careful.
So far, a fairly clean, mostly clean rotation from Talon Esports. Chaos Theory now only just responding.
Yeah, nice rotation though by Talon to get on the point. Forces Chaos Theory to attack them instead of the other way around. But with Butek dying, Raphael getting low and pressured out, it may just be that Chaos Theory have weathered this storm for now, and Talon are going to get rebuffed, at least for this first push.
This is one of those awkward moments for a team like Talon Esports where they're waiting for a respawner, but also they're mid-push, they're mid-rotation, they're stuck inside this room. Buteok has to find a way to rejoin them. They got to find a way to taxi and ferry Buteok over, and now restart this push.
Chaos Theory didn't go too aggressive on that though. They could have maybe caught some members of Talon out a little bit. This is Raphael going in very deep. Great stick will get the D-mech off that, but he loses his life for it. So all's well that ends well, but it's ambition going down that is going to be the beginning of the end here for Chaos Theory as they finally lose this train. Zest getting pressured out, and the one response kill is not going to be enough. Talon Esports on the second push are going to be able to get it through in resounding fashion.
Valkyrie was committed into that defense for Chaos Theory as well. Coming up to a Transcendence for this defense, they're going to need every single tool they can get. Ambition in particular is going to be a very important target for them to keep alive, and a very important target for Talon to take down as Persia's sitting onto the EMP. Rest of the ultimate slowly and steadily climbing up to that 100%. This could be a big snowball.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to come down so much to that EMP, and if it's not the EMP that does it for Talon, then it's going to have to be the tactical device that does it for Ambition. Doesn't even have to use it to headshot out Legend. That is so great. Now they can commit it with Disc Train right in his sights. They catch Zest in that as well. So many members caught. Legend, though, able to get back alive, will have the Transcendence, but it may not be enough. There's no one really to save with it, at least until respawns come in. Now he's going to have to use it to get on the point, but Zest walks out the other way and isn't in that Transcendence as he's pressured out, has to go back into spawn. Ambition finding nothing but nothing with that tactical visor as the supports, again, just getting drilled down by the combined efforts of
GNX.
But GNX has something to say about that. That could well be enough to start swinging the fight back around.
And it's going to have to be. Just trying to get himself a kill into Slay Vega's mech as well. And now it looks like Talon Esports, unless they can get this next ultimate up online, MCD needs this Transcendence if Talon want to stay into the middle of this fight. If a Chaos Theory, Ambition on the Doomfist, swapping sides, leaving the Talon organization, if you will. Chaos is where it's at.
I mean, sure. Like, yeah, sure. I'll take that metaphor. I'll buy it. But that was very, very tight for Chaos Theory, and as it turned out, Legend dying with the Transcendence was actually the saving grace for them because they had that available once the team respawned, and they had just enough time for the team to respawn. This time, though, only 1/3 left on the point. They will not have such luxury.
And that's the thing, right? Because with Talon Esports, despite not capping out fully, 87.9, you'll take it, and you'll take a kill if you're on Chaos Theory as well, because GN it's actually the other side around.
Yeah, right. Time to get powered up. It's also time to pass into the Iris, and apparently the Iris is the more powerful of the two. EMP out as well, and this is once again a resounding start by Talon Esports. Like I said, there is no room for recovery this time for Chaos Theory, and as the members drop, the point goes the way of Talon. 4 minutes and 18 seconds on the clock, not too shabby.
Only 2 blunders, and that is one. In fact, I'm going to retrace and say only 1 blunder. Right at the start, when they lost Buteok, that slowed them down. That cost them a bit of time. Then they came back, reinforced, immediately took the cap. Now coming into their first attempt onto B as well, getting 2/3 out of the full 3 in terms of ticks, very important for this team. That was well worth the ultimate spent. That was well worth the attack and the attempt that they had. And for a team like Chaos Theory, they were on the back foot the entire time.
You do have to say though, I mean, I find it hard to call it a blunder per se, but on that initial attack on point B, they got a lot of kills. Things were going very well. I mean, you're seeing it right here, right? Legend died right at the start. The EMP got so many targets. They instantly knocked out the tanks. Chaos Theory had to play recovery, but you can't help but feel like that was enough for Talon to just kind of, you know, snowball and run away with it. You wonder what started going wrong there, that they weren't able to actually secure it. But doesn't matter too much because they did still secure it with a lot of time on the clock, and that is the time that Chaos Theory have to match, or indeed best.
Well, it's one of those things, right? Because the way the sort of time required to cap the B point for all assault maps works is that pretty much based on what I've seen anyway, this is not mathematical or anything, but based purely off observation of watching pro teams play, is if you do snowball on B, you win a team fight, you get 6 players down, let's say you get a full team wipe, you'll probably get to the 66% and a little bit further, maybe towards the 80s, and you might nearly cap, but there is a guaranteed respawn wave from the defenders before you fully cap. 100% you will get a guaranteed respawn wave, and the thing is for an attacking team, any attacking team, is you need the field to get yourselves past 2 defenses, and you need a lot of ultimates, you need a lot of kills to get there, and it's not a surprise that they didn't get it before Chaos Theory. They weren't going to last the second attack.
Yeah, it's funny. Getting that gong seems impressive, but realistically, you're correct. Getting 3 and then another 3 not long after is actually the better way to cap those point Bs. So let's see if Chaos Theory can pull off exactly that. It's Junkrat out on the defense here for Talon, interestingly enough. His first appearance for the top. Raphael and Buteok just doing the work on the dive, going to completely nip that push in the bud.
Look how quickly Talon Esports are able to sort of intercept this rotation from Chaos Theory as well. Very different to what we saw the other side around when Chaos Theory were defending. Talon were attacking. Talon were able to get so deep into that A defense before Chaos Theory were even able to respond. This time around though, GNX is going to take the long way around back to the respawn room, probably.
This is just a big time waste for him. He's finally going to die. Right? Yeah, that's the thing. It's a time waste for Chaos Theory because Talon, they actually keep enough pressure on this initial kind of alleyway purely between Persia and Slave Vega is the name. I nearly called him Slav Vega. It's not
That's
correct.
very different.
Extremely different. I didn't choose the Gropnik life. The Gropnik life chose me. My point is, Talon was still able to keep the defense alive there, and now once again a great opener for them. This is that proactivity I was saying I wanted to see out of them, and I'm now seeing it. It is explosive. It is dynamite. And Talon once again coming out the better of the fight. Not even a third on point A for Chaos Theory, who, might I add, needs to win this to stay alive in the series.
Now there is literally a playground there, and Raphael's taking full advantage of it because he's running around Chaos Theory, running. Looks like he's having a lot of fun as well. And speaking of fun, Persia, who couldn't have fun on a Junkrat nearing on that Riptire? Talon Esports, they've been able to just stop these Chaos Theory pushes time and time again. Ambition onto the Sombra, now maybe trying to sneak 1/3, but it's he's so far away from his team, and Talon Esports cleaned up everyone else.
It's funny, they're like, you know what, we'll let you have a third, because while you're getting that, we'll just go ahead and kill the rest of the team. Yeah, no one is, exactly, no one's coming to help you, Ambition, because they're all dead. And then someone's going to go and deal with Ambition too. Once again, Talon Esports, and might I add, they have not even committed ults in these fights.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's true. I mean, it was pretty ambitious what he tried to do that just really worked out for him. Chaos Theory now switching Ambition onto the Genji. Got to go back to Hollywood. It looked good back then, and it was pretty dire. They're bringing it up a lot earlier now, but I'd say the situation's even more dire. Look at the ultimates for Talon.
Can he do it twice? Pulse Bomb out already. Is GNX once again dying to MCD? Is there like a 3-letter thing going on here that like there can only be one? That is Slave Vega committing to self-destruct just to finalize this, create the space, just force Chaos Theory into this little bottle, at which point they can shoot fish in a barrel. Chaos Theory once again just finding no way into these fights.
Even if Chaos Theory get this now, they've got under 1 minute rather. They'll have to cap this into overtime if at all. It's going to look like Hollywood all over again. Ambition now going on to another hero. This Genji wasn't good enough. The Sombra wasn't good enough. And in fact, Chaos Theory and Ambition, he's waiting for his first ultimate of the game, I think. I haven't been specifically looking at him. But Persia now specifically for a kill.
Are you kidding me? I was about to say I like the Pharaoh because Junkrat can't contest it. I had to eat my words before they even left my mouth. Raphael finding his counterpart in GNX as well. And once again, Chaos Theory just kind of nipped in the bud almost entirely. Really nothing left to even get towards this point. Talon Esports still holding on to ultimates as well. Slay Vega picks Legend. And it's just looking like Chaos Theory can't get a foot in the door, let alone a full push on to the point. Ambition, last man standing, unless he can make it happen again, unless Lightning truly can strike twice. This is potentially going to be Talon. Yeah, maybe it is. If not, it's going to be Talon securing this first series of Contenders Pacific, and with Ambition dead, GNX following him. Chaos Theory are flooding into the point for one last time, but every time someone steps on, they find themselves met instantly with bullets and ultimates from Talon Esports, who are now 3-0 up in the series. They will still play the fourth map because that map differential can count for a lot, but Talon are our first victors of Contenders Pacific.
And that was a pretty convincing final map, or not a final map, rather third map out of them so far in the series. Take a look at what Persia was able to do in the back lines. I mean, why not?
Wow. Just look at it go.
Riveting gameplay. I love it.
I hear Owen Wilson in my mind.
Oh, there it is. And it's a little tough one for Chaos Theory because you look at the way they started in this series. Nepal was pretty close. In fact, across Nepal, they did have their own 100-0 on, I believe it was Village. Now coming on to, you know, Hollywood, it was a little bit worse. But when you get to map number 3, you get to Assault Horizon Lunar Colony, that was all Talon Esports under attack. They blitzed their way through. Only a few hiccups, slight road bumps, but you'll get over those, no problem. But then for the side of Chaos Theory, it was just brick walls.
Yeah, and I mean, I suppose the way to look at that as well isn't necessarily that Chaos Theory have started struggling in this series or anything like that. I honestly feel like Chaos Theory are playing the exact same as they did on Nepal. Talon are just looking more and more comfortable between each map. They are already starting to adjust little things here and there. Look, it's your first game on the first day of the first season.
A lot of firsts.
There's a lot of firsts going on here, right?
Talon are right now first and standing.
That's correct. That is factually correct. Wow. But at any rate, there's the nerves. There's the first day jitters. Like there's all those sorts of factors coming into play. And Talon were off to a decent start from here. It's been tweaks, it's been fine tuning, and it's been consistent improvement. So you can maybe even call that closeness in the very first game. Maybe Talon actually just a little bit below what they can do. I feel like what we're seeing now is more in the vein of what we can be expecting from Talon moving forward.
And I think we also did see a wounded, perhaps, Chaos Theory right at the end there as well, because they played a lot tighter early in the series. Towards the end there, it did start to look like they were falling it apart, but it's not quite over entirely. Let's go and take a look at what we got to look forward to at map number 4. And it is going to be lights out this time, at nighttime in Dorado. We'll see what kind of strategy Chaos Theory want to bring back for this one. I know it would make it sound quite final already. It is a 3-0. Let's see if we can make it a 3-1, because at least for a team like Chaos Theory, they showed some promise. Now let's see if they can keep their promise.
And that's the thing. I mean, I mentioned it with regards to Talon earlier with that map differential. It really counts for a lot. And to that end, look, if you do lose a series, getting at least that one map back is actually really important. There are situations where it's those 1 map, 2 map differentials that really change everything. You know, especially when you're looking at that sort of 3rd, 4th place within each of these 2 groups. That is the sort of place where it's maybe going to be the difference between qualifying for playoffs and falling into 5th place and not quite making it.
I do want to reiterate again as well, going back onto some of the things we did see on Horizon Lunar Colony of what ended up being the difference between these 2 teams. Go back to kind of look at how both teams attacked. It was, of course, again, Talon Esports kind of making their way through onto A without too much competition, and for Chaos Theory being intercepted every part of the way. That has been the difference in attacking and defensive strategies. So we talk about proactivity, and you specifically talked about that for Talon Esports. They definitely had that on the defense, they definitely had that on the attack. And for Chaos Theory, a little bit of confusion in the mix there.
Yeah.
Ambition didn't quite know what he wanted to play. Sombra wasn't working, Genji didn't work, and Fire didn't work either. So now for Chaos Theory, can they be decisive in knowing what they want to do?
Well, it seems that they want to play that Genji out the gate this time, so maybe now we will get to see Ambition truly shine on it throughout an entire map. Talon themselves still just changing things up, a little bit unsure themselves, no doubt discussing what they maybe want to run, and we need to see that same decisiveness on the side of Chaos Theory now on the defense. This is a very aggressive setup.
And look at this composition from Talon Esports. They've run this pretty much for all 4 maps, and if it's been working, why not continue it?
Yeah.
If you can show that Chaos Theory can handle this, then you're going to keep winning with this.
Speaking of keep winning with it, Persia already just looking to harass, get bullets into Flesh, charge up the EMP as quickly as possible, as Chaos Theory's very aggressive setup hasn't quite worked for them.
Cart's moving.
Yeah, no kills.
Where's
exactly,
the
cart's moving. They need to either get onto the cart or start taking fights, get some kills, stop up the push altogether, because so far this has been relatively free for Talon, and now they're just forcing Chaos Theory back. No one's died by them, but they're just giving up a lot of space without really contesting it.
And that's the key word, right? Because they didn't contest it, and that's a big issue. If you're Chaos Theory, you want to hold forward, you need to do something with that. You cannot be content with just trading damage, because right now,
still
you're trading deaths.
And finally, the pressure becomes too much for Chaos Theory. You're pinned in the back of that courtyard. You have no more room to retreat back into. And the cart throughout all this is only just finally stopped purely because there isn't enough space for the fight and the cart. But now with the fight over, the cart has all the space in the world as they roll on through point A.
That was a very clean and easy camp for Talon Esports and Chaos Theory. Barely stopped up that vehicle. They barely stopped up the push. Again, they held so far forward. They held so aggressively. But why were they not able to get on top of Talon? Why were they not able to contest? That's the biggest problem for Chaos Theory right now. They got the right idea, but they failed to execute it. So now they have to be able to get this dive onto Talon.
Yeah, I mean, if you're sitting that far forward, you should be diving very aggressively, but now, once again, it's Talon getting aggressive in their own right. Transcendence out from Legend does stall things, but it is only stalled because now the Pulse Bomb out, plus the Transcendence from MCD, committing the EMP, it's finally the right time, and Talon just sweeping away with this fight again. Finally, the payload stops because once again, there just isn't enough space for a fight and a payload. And now the fight ends, the payload rolls forward.
Talon Esports going to get themselves a lot of forward positioning as well. Look at the way they're moving already. It's Raphael fairly far forward, just going to scout out the early positioning. Top of the map so far on top of the bridge, and the overpass secured in Talon's favor. This is going to restrict Chaos Theory's ability to get back in the fight. Ambition dying on 90%. That's not going to be a Dragon Blade for this fight.
Persia a little low. He has got to safety, but apparently that safety is not close enough to a health pack. Only just getting on it now, but does give Chaos Theory
We've
time
nearly
to
capped.
reset.
Look at this.
Yeah, they need to get on this payload now.
This is getting a little bit ridiculous for Chaos Theory. They have the ultimates to play with right now. They have the ability to get in, but Legend down so quick.
Slay Vega is doing so much work here, actually pressuring out all these members. Ambition finally trying to find his way in. Self-destruct doesn't quite catch anything. There's going to be the Dragon Blade Ambition. He used to find a bit more than the air he is currently slicing. Zest did get one with his Primal Rage, but that's now 2 ultimates for 1 kill, and Ambition loses his life alongside that man Zest. Once again, Talon kind of poised to just clean sweep out the rest of this fight. Chaos Theory, they are going to fight to the last here. This does buy more time in the grand scheme of things. GNX actually putting in a lot of work towards the end of this one.
Oh, decent pickups.
Exactly, and actually with those respawns being closer for them, this actually should be enough for them to finally repel Talon and stop up that cart for the first time since the doors opened before point A.
A little bit of magic is what Chaos Theory really needed at the end there, but it was GNX able to clutch on through with the triple kill, and importantly, stopping Slay Vega from remaking as well. Talon Esports, it looked like they were about to win. Chaos Theory maybe pulling a bit of Talon Esports themselves.
Yeah.
They probably should have lost that fight, but they were able to clutch on through.
Ults are now effectively matched between these two teams, so this is going to be about as close to an even fight as you get, and I'm curious to see how it will play out. Will that proactivity from Talon pay off once again?
Definitely need to stop the cart push, put a lot of pressure on
nice.
forward members.
Double nice.
GNX again.
And this dude is just pulling the team on his back right now. Look at that. now able to get aggressive with the tanks. They want to turn this into a full rout. They've got enough, though. They will back towards the cart once again. But that's the second defense. It gets ults online. It stops up the cart again. And now it's getting harder for Chaos Theory to actually get back underway.
Yeah. Going back to sort of comments made on Nepal here, I sort of mentioned that Chaos Theory were seemingly a very tempo-based.
Yeah, sorry for Talon to get underway.
And now the tempo back into their sort of favor here. They're controlling the timing of these fights quite nicely for Chaos Theory. They still have ultimates in play yet. Persia doesn't quite have an EMP, so for Talon, they may not really just have the tools to get them just yet, but they will take the fight regardless.
They may as well, but this is likely a Chaos Theory fight win if they can play it right. There's already
he died with
sourness.
I don't know about
with
that.
Primal Rage, exactly, and Raphael quick to follow it up as well. He's just doing the GNX here, looks to get the team on his back as he finds Savior too. And despite not even really having the tools and Chaos Theory having all of them, Talon, could you believe it? Just get it back underway like it ain't even a thing.
Never underestimate a team's ability to not execute when required, and right now for Chaos Theory, farmed in spawn as well. They
still
had
going.
A few glimpses of such a good showing from players like GNX. They've actually got nearly 5 ultimates right now. Note that when Persia and Talon Esports started that sort of run through winning that last fight to cap on second, they didn't have that many ultimates. They certainly didn't have the EMP, didn't have many resources. We kind of said maybe this is a Chaos Theory win. Chaos Theory, when they probably should have won, they couldn't win.
I like it. I like the aggression. Look at how deep Persia's playing. Even gets Legend before going down, and Raphael is quick to be in there to follow up. This is so tight out of Talon Esports. The execution is
use some ult, people.
They're ready for it. They're set up in advance, and they just swing the hammer quickly, decisively. The payload back moving already.
Chaos Theory is just still looking for this opening. I don't know how much time they've got left to look. Apparently not enough. Cart's still moving up, as it has been for the majority of this map so far. Ambition, sound barrier behind his back. Where's this Dragon Blade? You need it to win.
He's looking for it. He's trying to find the angle, but he doesn't want to commit it just yet. There's the pick on Persia, though. That should be the one that cues it. No! He dies to Aru! They've held on to it, but now they're behind in the fight. They're going to have to get a lot out of that Dragon Blade. He held it through the sound barrier. He held it even after getting that opening pick onto Persia. And now they need it to somehow turn things back around. But oh no! Clotheslined on his way in towards the point. That felt like a combination of Talon just being fast and decisive and always keeping momentum on their side, and Chaos Theory just misfiring on so many opportunities.
And it's like when Chaos Theory are winning, though. Let's rewind a little bit backwards and have a look again on that B defense when GNX pulled on through a triple kill for him, a DMEC into killing a Diva, trying to remake a lot of these sort of things happening, finding these openings that allowed Chaos Theory to get back on through. Now, I want to commend them because it is clutch, but unfortunately, clutch is not necessarily clean. Clutch is not necessarily by design or by plan, and that's the opposite so far of what Talon have brought to the table, because Talon have been very well planned so far. They know exactly what they're doing. Their timings are good, they're fast, and they know how to find the wins, and it's very apparent when Chaos Theory, on the flip side, when they do have the ultimates, when they do have the positioning and the tempo, about every advantage you're looking for here. Persia, no EMP. This is a fight win that needed to happen for Chaos Theory, and they failed to execute it.
Yeah, the difference is clear. Like you said, it's a lot of it coming down to the execution. I also want to touch on something that we saw right at the top of that with Chaos Theory on the defense. They looked to go very aggressive with their setup, at least. They didn't press the go button on that, and then they spent the entirety of the point
classic example,
up.
right?
Yeah, and it's like they're always maybe waiting for a better opportunity to go. Like they're just waiting for it to happen rather than trying to create the opportunity themselves. It's almost like they're psyching themselves out of being decisive.
It's been a few moments, and this is kind of, it's the way the match as a series has gone so far, because at the start of the evening with Nepal, we definitely saw a lot more proactivity out of Chaos Theory. Now it's not over quite yet. Possible redemption now onto this tech. We can go to time bank, but only if Chaos Theory can finish the match.
That is a big F. 1 minute 22 for Talon Esports. Chaos Theory only just out the gate, but this is the pressure they've been needing. Ambition on the Pharah is doing exactly what Talon did to them on their defense.
Ooh. Persia down early is actually very important. This is going to slow down the EMP significantly. That being said, look at Persia's early damage, already on 70%, and we've barely had that much time in this first opening fight.
That being said, the pressure is still mounting here for Talon, even if Persia rejoins. Oh, never mind, Zest goes down, but didn't actually lose any members. Chaos Theory not able to make any kills happen with all that pressure. And you see the contrast once again where Chaos Theory were pressured backwards and eventually crumbled. Talon, they get pressured backwards and they rally, they strike back.
Very important place to hold the cart up as well. Making sure they have control over the choke point. When the cart gets a little further back towards the mountain, that's when it gets difficult for defenders. But right now, Talon have Chaos Theory exactly where they want them.
Raphael just looking to toss in the pulse bomb casually. Doesn't quite get the closeout. The Transcendence does have to be committed by Talon to keep Buteok alive. The EMP out should be what they need to start closing the fight out in their favor. Not quite getting all the kills they need as they lose Buteok. And there's the rocket barrage out of Ambition to pull the weight for them. He will lose his life for it, but instantly res back into the fray thanks to Savior. The cart now passed.
Oh, Haru only got
kill
two.
Box, yeah. This is looking good for them. Chaos Theory, they finally have the cart back underway and they had the pressure on the remaining members of Talon.
Still got a little bit more fuel as well. Legend with a sound barrier that can be used when Talon want to get aggressive. For Chaos Theory, they have their DPSs here, they have their supports here, and the cart is in a good place for them as well.
This was where it went sour for Chaos Theory just a moment ago now, though, so you do have to hope that they can execute a bit better. Already, though, it's GNX, the first casualty. And again, the focus fire, the target selection is just not quite there. Getting one with a self-destruct when 3 of your teammates are already dead is just not enough to keep you in the fight. Talon, once again, they get pushed back up against the wall, but they bite back harder every time.
Just need to find these picks inside the ultimates for a team like Chaos Theory. Many times now we've seen when Valkyries get used, when Transcendences get used, a sound barrier from Legend, which mostly have been pretty good from Legend and from Savior. It hasn't been enough, however, to get them the damage necessary to really get past Talon. And now we're going to go back to talking about Talon's tenacity and the fact that they don't die in these fights. They don't lose in these fights. They're definitely still in.
GNX, opening pick rather, of the fight. They need to leverage it into more. They need to get another big one. Oh, the hack, the EMP, it catches Ambition, grounds him, and they close out on the back of that too. But the rest of Chaos Theory is still in this. Savior looking for the res and Ambition and finds it as they keep getting the kills. It comes really at the last possible moment, but at least it does come, and that is going to be Chaos Theory getting their own cap on A.
This is when I got to go back and praise Savior as well, because we talked about him a lot on Hollywood, and right now he is one of the main factors for Chaos Theory in terms of saving their team. Valkyries have been pretty good so far, and for Chaos Theory as well, when Ambition gets taken down, of which he has been a few times, he has been the res target, and for Chaos Theory, this has been important. Keep Ambition alive, keep your cart pushing, keep rolling through. Time is still sort of working in Chaos Theory's favor, and Talon Esports are currently regrouping.
And speaking of keep the cart pushing, I mean, you say Talon are currently regrouping. They're effectively fully regrouped. There's just so much pressure on all the right spots by Ambition. He's making every single movement Talon make take just that little bit longer. It amounts to more payload distance.
And at what time does Raphael maybe go into the water to try and counter this one out? Definitely after this fight, though, as a sound barrier was committed by Haru.
But already it's run out and all the tools have been held onto so far by Chaos Theory. Distrain though, ooh, gets demexed, but the sound barrier is there so he doesn't die straight away. Maybe able to get back into it. Ambition still looking for the angle on the rocket barrage as the Transcendence out of MCD stalls it out. But now, with no more defensive tools left, he should have, excuse the pun, free reign of the Justice. There it is, right on the 2. Nice EMP out to catch him though, Persia in the nick of time as they even lose Distrain in the self-destruct, and then Ambition himself to drop. Having held on to it for the whole time, Talon still had one last trick up their sleeve to deal with the barrage when it came out, and off the back of that, they will make the defense happen.
Now, it looked like for Chaos Theory as well, we were just waiting for that barrage to finally come out. A lot of things came into place for this team. They were in a good position for it. They were waiting, corralling Talon Esports into a nice, tidy little corner, and Persia just swats them straight out of the sky. With Raphael now finally changing onto the Widowmaker, Ambition can no longer play Farah.
Unfortunately, but at least they've anticipated the change. He is now onto the Genji, something that we didn't quite see enough mileage out of on their own defense. Despite his first appearance on the hero being a good one, as the kill on MCD and Haru. The double support kill should be enough to open this one for Chaos Theory, if Talon swing back, it's going to be a miracle play. They are not going to be able to. This time, when Chaos Theory are getting aggressive, the pressure becomes too much for Talon. You can't bite back when you've been socked in the jaw like that. That is how you do it, Chaos Theory.
Oh man, they've already done what they couldn't do on Hollywood or Horizon Lunar Colony for that matter, and that is to get onto this final cap on with about, what is it, 2 minutes 17 seconds remaining. A little bit of wind behind their sails. Talon Esports still waiting for ultimates.
Ambition in a bit too deep. Speaking of waiting for ultimates, they will have enough time to get them up as Chaos Theory have to wait for respawns. Unfortunate for them, they were looking to get aggressive, they were looking to make space for themselves, do what Talon were doing to them, but Talon, they will not fall prey to their own tricks.
There's a lot of this sort of tug of war going on here, a lot of this kind of jostling for positioning where Chaos Theory get a decent amount of progress. Talon Esports clamps down and that stops them, but then Chaos Theory are able to swing back just hard enough to continue that progress again. For Chaos Theory, they do look a little beaten, they do look a little battered, but they're certainly not out.
Oh, Persia gets them all right in the most narrow of choke points, the kill box as it were, as the kills do come through for Talon off the back of just the one ultimate committed, and it was crucial. You said they needed time to charge ultimates, well, they got just that time, and they really made hay while the sun was shining in terms of capitalizing off the ultimates. Look at that, picking Legends too off the back of it. That was not quite a gong, purely because Ambition and Zest died so early in that fight.
Look at that, Talon off an EMP. Everybody else just about got their ultimates for Chaos Theory. We've been waiting for this next push for some time, and if history would repeat itself, this is Talon Esports clamping down on the push, but now it needs to be Chaos Theory swinging back just that much harder, and they kind of have the ultimates to do it with, they have the resources.
I mean, they have to make it happen here, right? Legend kind of using the Sound Barrier to save his own life just as much as it is to give his team legs in the fight. They're still trying to get past this kill box, this room here. This time they do break out. They catch MCD. They've drained some ultimates from Talon, but drained some ultimates of their own. They kill Haru just shy of his Sound Barrier. They need to get more than that. The respawns will start to come through for Talon, even though Chaos Theory are getting the kills. And look, Talon are making sure that the fight is always on the payload or in advance of it. They are making sure that as little progress happens as possible. They will get the respawns.
They're getting a few charges here as well. Savior, who just only spawned as Mario, already on 87% to the Coalescence. Ambition, he had saved his Dragon Blade for a long time. I hope it's not a repeat of the last one that we saw in the defense. This one needs to be good.
Nice pulse bomb into MCD. And here is that Dragon Blade. Sound Barrier is there for it though. He finally gets Haru through all that extra health before having to put the blade away, but the Coalescence is there. The payload's moving. That's the key one as the kills are coming through too for Chaos Theory. Last hurrah for Slave Vega does not catch anything. Persia dead before he gets that final EMP, and it looks like they will get the kills through. Butek will have to do a lot of stalling with this Primal Rage. Pops it straight away, but it's not going to matter. They do get the cap. That's what counts the most. They get to go into Time Bank. They get to keep the game alive.
I feel like we're in the 10th or maybe 11th round of boxing right now, where for a team or a fighter like Chaos Theory, look, they've taken a lot of hits, but every time Talon swing really hard, Chaos Theory, they get back up, and they probably weren't expected to fully cap out here, but they managed to do it, and with just enough time during the overtime, just enough ultimates, just enough things coming up exactly when they needed it, but now going into the time back. We talked about this earlier. It's not over for Chaos Theory, not in this map, not in the series, and certainly not right now, because we still have this tiny little bit left where maybe they can show again that magic that we just saw.
The one thing you do have to consider though, given that we are in Time Bank, history would certainly suggest that Talon are a bit favored in this, purely because they kept momentum on the cart. When you're in that Time Bank situation, it's momentum on the cart that counts for everything. Even if you're losing fights, if you're always keeping on the cart, if you're always keeping it moving, it's distance of cart per minute of time you have that make the difference here.
This is a replay from Raphael's perspective on that last fight as well, just as we're waiting for those opening gates to release the attackers.
And unleashed as they are. That's really unfortunate. 3, 2, 1, 60 seconds. It's like, whoa, whoa, what? But yeah, here we go. They need to get that momentum on their side very quickly here. Chaos Theory and Talon, aggressive defense. They dive straight onto it.
No time wasted.
Yeah, no time wasted. No kills just yet either. And they are slowly getting pushed backwards bit by bit. Chaos Theory having weathered that initial storm However, last time this happened, they pushed Talon Esports back, but finally got kind of snapped back against as Talon rebounded.
It's a very important punish they got on Buteok as well, forcing that respawn, forcing Talon to sort of pull back a little bit and regroup enough for Chaos Theory. This is free time with the card. No one from Talon is going to touch it just yet. But once Buteok is back with his team, expect Talon to get extremely aggressive. You mentioned this already, but distance is key here for both teams.
And Talon Esports, one good thing about that early fight, given that there was only a minute now, all they need is one fight win to stop this one up for good and minimize that distance as much as possible. But a fight win here for Chaos Theory keeps the dream alive. They already lose the mech through the sound barrier, the coalescence. It does work, but it's not enough work. Self-destruct catches two, and that may be the explosion that blows Chaos Theory's dreams in this match to smithereens. And indeed, that looks to be the case as the last few get cleaned up. GNX, the last to fall, the full gong, and not anywhere near as much distance as you would have liked as Chaos Theory.
Celebration EMP from Persia right at the end there as well to signal
lights for fun.
To signal the perhaps coming of the apocalypse that is Talon Esports on their attack. Now for Chaos Theory, did they get enough distance? It was good distance, but you would ideally like to see optimistically a cap onto A, but at a minimum close to capping an A. Now where it stands right now just before the fountain is not bad. This is very much still defendable for them, but they need to do exactly what Talon Esports did in terms of at least tempo on that early defense. Now, we talked about Chaos Theory's first defense the first time around. They played very aggressively in terms of positioning, but they didn't actually do anything to stop the cut. Look at what Talon Esports did. That is exactly what Chaos Theory needs to feed back into Talon.
Yeah, and you've also got that archway there where you can set up a more entrenched defense where they kind of have to pile into that choke point. That's going to have to be the key point for Chaos Theory to end up getting set up around that. If they do full hold Talon, is where it will happen.
It's entirely within the realm of possibility as well. 2 minutes and 22 seconds. Many teams have failed to get it even in 4 minutes. So just over half that time, Chaos Theory just need roughly 2 fight wins early on to then snowball a couple ultimates defensively to really put Talon on the back foot. And by the time that Talon maybe get the kind of momentum they're looking for, it'll be too late after the 2:22 mark. Chaos Theory, first steps first, they need to get this early fight win.
Already out the gate and aggressive are Talon Esports as per usual. Chaos Theory, they aren't retreating as early this time around. Now they are starting to give some respect to the space. Looking to get a wraparound here, come in from behind, and they commit. This is the decisiveness we need. Now let's see if the execution is there. As they get into the thick of it, Zest is the first casualty. They do trade one back, but the respawns are further away. They need to get a lot of kills in their favor here to make this work, but they are getting those kills. Talon now surrounded, and that is the defense Chaos Theory needed.
Certainly were able to get a lot of kills and an ultimate off that as well. Xavier already onto the coalescence, but now the planning becomes very important. Note that Talon still waiting for their first ultimate. Persia's almost there, and that's going to be an important EMP to keep track of, and is going to be the Doom push. When Persia gets the EMP, can Chaos Theory still win? That's got to be the key.
It's going to be the real big question, isn't it? Now they have to pile into that choke point where that coalescence can do so much work. Pulse Bomb already taking her room.
Might not have to use
Talon,
it.
yeah, they can't actually get too aggressive. It buys more time, plus the D-Mech. This is great for Chaos Theory. They do lose Ambition, unfortunately, and there is no one to res him, but as they don't lose any other members, they should be able to regroup before Talon can push in earnest again.
Here comes that potential EMP.
Oh, never mind.
If it lands, it's gonna big.
So quick on that as well, not wasting any time, but the rest of the team may not have quite been ready for it because you see the follow-up hasn't quite been there. They've only got Zest, self-destruct out from Distrain. Not quite enough to get any kills, but it is space. And now Chaos Theory can start biting back. Coalescence, not enough work done. Talon it through the choke point. And this is going to be the fight that ends it. Buteok in the mix, swinging hard. They catch GNX as well. Now down Ambition, and that could be enough. The numbers are in their favor. They pick Savior. Zest, Earth Shatter, not enough. Barrier. Even though they get Raphael, the sound barrier is going to give him plenty of health. Even then, no one was targeting him, and Talon just shy of a full gong. It's only GNX, and again, it's a celebratory EMP as Talon secure the 4-0 in their first game of Overwatch Pacific Contenders.
And I like that the final match as well, the final map rather, Look, that was actually pretty tight. Chaos Theory had a decent string of kills, a decent string of fights right in the end there in their final defense.
Oh,
it
yeah.
was nearly there, but we have to go back to what happens when the EMP came down. And unfortunately, Chaos Theory didn't have the correct response or the response they were looking for. It's going to be a clean Talon 4-0. Planned, executed, well designed.